if we have been able to cite a satellite picture showing a mass grave, why are we not showing the bodies? Why are we not showing that these are the people who are buried? Because satellite picture also can detect.
Hello and welcome to Channel Africa Conversations. I'm your host, Peter Ndoro. So today on the program, Tanzania is facing growing internal and international alarm after its disputed October elections, where President Samia Suluhu Hassan was declared the winner with nearly 98% of the vote. This amid the detention or exclusion of key opposition leaders. Rights groups allege that the security forces responded to post-election protests with lethal force. Reports of mass arrests, treason charges, and possibly hundreds of deaths, some suggesting thousands, though no official toll has been released. Religious leaders, including the World Council of Churches and Tanzania's Catholic bishops, have called for an independent investigation as families continue to search for missing relatives, and reports are circulating of overflowing morgues and hidden graves. The Tanzania Law Soceity has gone to the court over the post-election curfew, and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation in South Africa warns that the country risks a crisis of legitimacy. Independence Day celebrations have been cancelled, with authorities citing damaged infrastructure and fears of further unrest. Well, to help us unpack these developments and what they might mean for Tanzania's democracy, rule of law, and future stability. Why were bodies buried in mass graves, and we're getting reports of bodies being burned? This all speaks to covering up evidence. If the state has a case of a justifiable homicide, surely they'd want all the evidence to be on display, including the bodies.
First of all, what you are saying, nobody has ever justified that there are bodies that are being burned and there is a mass grave. I heard it from CNN documentary. I've not witnessed it by my own eyes or seen it in the media. What we saw, it was a satellite picture indicating that this place, it might be a mass grave. But nobody has yet confirmed it, even the authorities. They are also asking for whoever has got a proper information, citing or indicating that there is a mass grave, let us go and see. We acknowledge that there was a killing. At what magnitude was that killing?
What
we see and what we hear, what we see and what we hear,
yeah,
it is a mixed news from different sources. Nobody knows those sources are coming from what interest perception. But what I heard it from CNN documentary that they were citing satellite pictures, the picture that has not my brother.
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Kitoka. Maybe he has a version for us.
To finish from them, before going to Kitoka.
Yeah.
If we have been able to cite a satellite picture showing a mass grave, why are we not showing the bodies? Why are we not showing that these are the people who are buried? Because satellite picture also can detect the cars that brought those dead people.
Let's hear
from
Mr. Kitoka.
And the events. But we are only told that this is the mass grave.
Mr. Kitoka, your response?
I think what my colleague Jerry is doing is he's doing self-deception, and he's trying to deceive the world. The thing is, my question to him would be, could he explain the circumstances in which all international media channels were not accredited to come and cover the so-called elections on the 29th of October? Secondly, could he explain as well why is it that credible international organizations like the European Union election observer missions did not participate in observing the elections in Tanzania, including the UN organs that have all along traditionally been observing elections in Tanzania, why is it that those international credible organizations did not participate? And including other, European nations and, American organizations, why is it that they were not there? Why is it that CNN, they keep denying its report, were not allowed in the first place to be in Tanzania to be observing the election or to be covering the stories happening in the elections? Why is it that there was no single local news organization in Tanzania reported on the massacres? So I think there is a deliberate cover-up of the massacres that were deliberately carried out by the government of the day. And in fact, he lied. He keeps lying. He keeps lying to your viewers that protest erupted in the evening after the party. No, you better be a good listener, Mr. Jerry. You better be a good listener. I've been listening.
No, you have asked me a question.
No, you have been. No, you.
All right, gentlemen.
You will have your moment to respond.
Jerry, you'll have your moment just now. Jerry, you'll have your moment just now.
Yes.
John, carry on.
Yes, and this is something that this gentleman himself is part and parcel of a network of human rights violations in the country. He's on record, and so what all that he's saying here is trying to spread these wrong narratives that people were killed because they were attacking people's properties. Have you heard of the government making it crystal clear about how many people were killed? They don't really come out clean to say it.
Okay.
They're only busy telling people how many petrol stations were torched.
Okay.
But these petrol stations, if you have been following the protests organization, people were targeting those who are enabling a repressive regime. If you go to Dar es Salaam or anywhere else in the country, there is Total, there is Puma. None of those petrol stations were touched. So I think this is an attempt to cover up the massacres that were carried out by Samia's junta.
Okay.
And that's very clear. There's no way that this gentleman here, Jerry, is going to come and lie to the world expecting that SBC News is TBC.
All right. Okay. John, we're running out of time, so I'm going to stop you there.
Thank you so much.
Hang on. Jerry, before you respond, I just want to get a quick word from Evans. Evans, as a lawyer and the Law Society of the region, what kind of cases seem to be coming up frequently when it comes to human rights and Tanzania in particular? Because Jerry's painting a picture almost suggesting that up until the election things were fine. What's been your experience as a lawyer and dealing with cases?
Well, we have had certainly cases of extrajudicial killing. We have had instances of internet suppression, suppression of freedom of expression, suppression of freedom of movement. And these are prevalent cases. We've had a number of cases filed the East African Court of Justice and certainly at the African Court. And Tanzania actually pulled out of the African Court after a verdict went against it. The latest of cases, if your viewers remember, an activist from Kenya, my friend Boniface Mwangi, and the good lady Atu Haire from Uganda, were subjected to torture and atrocious acts under the hands of state authorities in Tanzania. So it points to a bad picture. And whereas we may argue, and I hear my two brothers in Tanzania exchanging here, let me remind them of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. My brother, this is not the country that Nyerere prayed for. Nyerere taught Africa of Utu, Ubuntu, Let us retrace ourselves and go back to Utu and Ubuntu. Tanzania needs election reforms. The election commission needs to be truly independent. We need to reform the constitution in Tanzania to allow for election results to be questioned and examined in court. Because part of the problem we have in Tanzania and the violence you see on the streets is because people cannot ventilate and examine things in court. Let us go back to the truth and the spirit of Nyerere.
Okay, Jerry, why is it that Agatha Atueri had to be stripped naked and physically violated? Why did Mwangi have to be tortured? And all that they were journalists covering a case of Tundu Lissu. That's all they did. They went to court to cover a case. How does that end up being taken by the police, stripped naked, captive for 4 or 5 days, and then dumped at the border? Explain that to us. We want to understand.
Maybe before I explain it, let me respond to some 2 questions, and to make this discussion clear, I should say that my colleague has said I'm one among of the people who have been cited as oppressing the human rights. Let me tell the world very clear. I've not been cited anywhere. I've not been told anywhere. I've not been written anywhere, and no human rights organization or whatever that has cited my name or saying anything about Jerry Muro ever. In the records, it is not nowhere. It is only maybe on his mouth. As he fails to speak, he has spoken it, but I should put the records clear. Coming to the first question, he has said he has not seen media, international media being accredited. Maybe I should remind him, most of the international media, they have got their news agencies in Tanzania. They have got their branches in Tanzania. BBC has got studio in Tanzania, and BBC were on it. Xinhua News from China has got its agents, and they were all on. Russian,
Channel Africa's reporters were forced to stay in the hotel. They were cleared to cover the story when they left South Africa, but were not allowed to leave the hotel once they arrived in Tanzania. We still don't understand why.
I'm just only citing people whom we saw them on the field.
But our journalists were told to stay in a hotel.
During election.
Our journalist was told to stay in the hotel and not leave. Why?
Now, I don't know the case about your journalists, but the large number of international media whose agencies are within Tanzania. The issue about why American observers or observers from somewhere were not allowed. Are we looking into some few countries, or we are looking at the processes as it is? Because as far as what I know, we had SADC observers, we had the East African observers, we had African Union observers, and we had some other observers, depending with the relation they had with Tanzania. That something has to be notable. It's not everybody you can invite, and it's not everybody you can say, come and see. Now, coming to your question about Mwangi and the lady who have been humiliated.
Yes.
Every country has got its own way of conducting its affairs or what is happening on those countries.
Are you saying that police are allowed to? Are you saying that police?
Not only Mwangi.
Are you saying police?
What I know.
Are you saying that male police are justified in stripping naked a female?
First of all, I should say it's not our culture. It's not our Utu, as we have heard from Evans. Ubuntu, Utu. This is not something to do with Tanzania. And I should put it very clear that those people, if it is true, because what we heard, I heard from their testimonies, I heard it from BBC, we saw it on social media, speaking. That was one-sided story. And I expected also the authorities to respond. And we heard a government spokesperson who came and said, what happened, it was not the same as what it was explained by the victims. But I personally, I agree with Evans that this is not how we are conducting our affairs at the regions. But on top of it, maybe I should ask you, we have seen also the activists from Kenya, they were in Uganda and Museveni locked them in the freezer. And the same people, they were also in Tanzania. Now I'm asking, are these monitors or head prefects of human rights in East Africa? You know, some we have to address these issues in an honest manner. The same person is in Uganda. The same person is in Tanzania. The same person. Let's tell the world truth. Why only these two? We had so many people from Kenya who are friends from Chadema.
Jerry,
but you'll see one
Jerry,
in Tanzania, you'll see one in Uganda.
Jerry, we have many stories. We have Miss Tsehai, who was nearly abducted and luckily got away, Tanzanian activist as well. We have a Tanzanian businesswoman who was arrested and is facing treason charges because she was dancing to a song that wasn't flattering to the president. Is that a capital crime?
To start with Maria Sehai Sarungi, she's the daughter of the late senior minister in our government. And I don't need to say much about the lady. I have been a journalist and I have been working with her, and I know the lady. I know the agenda that she's carrying. And get on our social media, get to see her life as Maria Sarungi. My brother, you'll agree with me that there are people, let's tell the world truth. There are people who are carrying other nations' agenda. And we have to be very careful with our friends, as Mr. Evans has said. How are we observing human rights without observing human responsibility? Maybe Evans should assist me on it.
What agenda is that you say that they're carrying?
First of all, to start with, we have to be very clear. There is an economic war that is going on in our African countries, not only in Tanzania. Let me cite one good example. Right now, we are implementing a major project, a crude pipeline, the heated pipeline, Tanzania and Uganda. They have joined forces to implement that crude pipeline. And before the commencement of the project, we saw the Western powers, we saw the Western countries were trying to push so that this project will not be implemented. That is one. Look at what is happening in Nigeria, Dangote refinery. When the project came onto an end, some countries are now coming with the issue of Boko Haram, and they want to invade. They want to invade Nigerians just because the Boko Haram are only killing Christians, without knowing Boko Haram has been there for a decade. And they have been killing both. Not only that, let me cite another example. Right now, we have got our internal issues within the region, Tanzania and Kenya. We are on a rival on economic issues. And this has not been today. It has been there since the late John Pombe Magufuli.
All right, I am running out of time, so I think we've got enough examples of what you see as the...
Maybe to wind up. maybe to wind up, just to wind up.
I think you're giving him a lot of
I should ask
Jerry.
my fellow John Kitoka.
I think you are giving him a lot of airtime.
John, he's gonna ask you a question now.
So you are giving him a lot of airtime to spew lies.
John, he's gonna ask you a question now. He's gonna ask you a question now that you can answer.
Jerry, let me ask John some few questions.
Yes.
These falsehoods are very intolerable.
The first question is, why this chaos were only on Dar es Salaam, Arusha, Mbeya, while Tanzania has got almost 28 regions?
Another big lie.
Why only in Dar es Salaam? Why only in Mwanza? Why only in Mbeya? Why only in Arusha?
Okay. Jerry, leave it there.
The second question to finish. Ask John, why did they not participated in this general election?
Okay.
Because
they
say themselves
Jerry, you've spoken quite a bit. Jerry, you've spoken quite a bit. Jerry, you've spoken quite a bit. John, if you could respond and share your thoughts on what you've just heard.
I think it should be the right thing for the media house like you to dispel such deliberate falsehoods made by someone who claims to have been a journalist. In fact, his remarks and statements are a complete disgrace to the media community. The thing is, there were protests all over the country. There were protests almost in every township in the country, and people were not only murdered in Dar es Salaam. People were murdered in places like Tunduma, at the border with between Tanzania and Zambia. And this other false narrative that we are at war with the Kenya because of an economic war, that's also another false narrative. The guys, let me. He spoke about Agatha and Mwangi. I went to the Central Police Station in Dar es Salaam myself with a lawyer from the Tanganyika Law Society to find out about their whereabouts. I was there. I met a guy called George and another guy called Mafuele. These guys told us openly that the Boniface and the Agatha have been transported back to their respective countries. And they told us that you can go. We asked, can we go and say that to the public? They said yes. And they said Mwangi has been escorted by our two policemen in our car to Kenya. And Agatha has been actually boarded in a plane back to Uganda and has actually been escorted by our police officer. We went back to report that on the media. You know, a day later, we realized that we were actually told lies. That these two activists were actually taken to torture chambers and later to be dumped after a lot of noise across the region. They were dumped at the borders to be taken by peaceful people. So these falsehoods that are being spewed by this gentleman who claims to be a journalist should actually be dispelled, because they are not even good they are not a good building block for peace and tranquility in our region. Okay, he is saying Maria is carrying an agenda, and he's not even saying which agenda is that. Maria is calling for electoral reforms. Is that a bad agenda? It's not. What is wrong with electoral reforms? What is wrong with calling for constitutional reforms in Tanzania? Is that a sin? Is that a crime? Why? Ask him. Where is the former publicity office of CCM, Pole? Where is he? The only crime that he committed was to raise a dissenting voice against Samia's junta, and he will never come out clean to say that. He is himself on record by perpetrating human rights abuses. This gentleman here speaking to you. So let's be very honest. At least he should have the decency to say the truth. But coming on air and starting, spewing these falsehoods is a deliberate way to deceive the world that Tanzania is at peace with itself, which is completely wrong. It's a wrong narrative. Yeah. So Mr. Jerry, I think you should be a decent person, even if you are a member of CCM, to come out clean and say that there were murders committed by the state apparatus, and you are not saying it. You keep denying that open truth. That's shameful on your part. That's a very, very big. I think back in the days when you were a journalist, I used to respect you, but you have become a disgrace to your media community. You can't really be coming here and telling the world that whatever happened in Tanzania only happened in isolated cities like Dar es Salaam and Arusha, when we have recorded cases of over 5,000 deaths in the country. That has never really happened in our country. Even when we went to war with Uganda, not as many people were killed. And now you are here busy telling lies as if you're a very decent guy. Come on.
All right, gents, we're going to have to start trying to wrap this up. But let me start with you, Evans. From your dealing with lawyers in the region, what's your assessment in terms of the independence of the Tanzanian courts? Because they're going to have to adjudicate on a lot of these cases. And if the system is already found wanting, it's going to be a challenge. And this is where I guess calls for independent reviews and independent judgments are coming out quite loud. What's your take on the independence of the Tanzanian judicial system?
Well, I have been part of a research project that examined judicial independence and accountability in about 10 countries. And one of the countries that was examined was Tanzania. The results of that finding point to a very worrying picture in terms of the independence of the Tanzanian judiciary. It is a cause for alarm, because the processes of appointing judges, the manner in which these judges are appointed, still do not measure up to known international norms. We have the Bangalore principles, we have the principles like Latimer House principles that most Commonwealth countries look up to in terms of standards of judicial independence and accountability.
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, we just went out of power in Addis, but in conclusion, we have a problem, and that problem needs to be fixed.
All right, and then the two gentlemen seemingly on opposing sides. Let me start with you, Jerry. Your final thoughts on a way forward. And the president has called for a dialogue of some kind, an inquiry, but some are saying, how can you inquire about yourself?
First of all, I want to say this. We are here not discussing personalities. We are here discussing about the future of Africa, our mother Africa. And we are here deliberately to look on the possible ways of bringing our regions and our countries together. We are not here insulting one another. We are not here attacking our personalities. Now, coming back to the issue, number one, first of all, we should agree. Not only Tanzania has got its internal problems, every country has got its own challenges and its own issues, and they are trying to solve it according to their understanding, to their constitution, laws, rules, and regulations. And I've been telling this since we started the show, that I'm not denying that there are people who have been killed. I've said it very openly that we acknowledge they are our brothers and sisters who passed away due to this. And secondly, I'm not only citing about people who died, I'm only citing about the root cause of what happened. And we have to agree that every country is sovereign, and every country has got its own way of addressing, discussing, and coming out with solutions facing their problem. Tanzanian problem cannot be solved with the Rwandan model or whatever model. We have cited here our brothers from Kenya. They have got new constitution. They have got independent electoral commission. But have it solved their electoral issues? No. So the issue, we have to go back to what Evan said. It's only about Utu, Ubuntu, and things that put us together and solve our problem together while we are moving. Mr. Peter, you are the witness. For decades, Tanzania has been an island of peace, and we have been cited all over the world that Tanzania, it's an island of peace. Where did this peace came? It comes with the constitution that we have. It comes from electoral commission that we are having. It comes with all those that we had before. But look what happened on 29th. Only a single mistake created multiple issues. Now, to finish and to wind up, I agree with the panelists that we have to come back to our root. Once we get to know what caused the chaos, what caused the death, it is whereby we will be able for our own problems. And maybe Mr. Kitoka, he's not aware that the president, when she formed the inquiry committee, yes, it has got some government ex-officials, ex-members, but we are look on our constitution and rule and laws that cite our independent inquiry, the composition of the people that are needed there. It is not only herself that she came up and said, this one should be there. No. It is laws itself that cite and indicate who are the members of that inquiry. And that is what President did. So if there is a challenge, we are not abusing President. We are not insulting President. Right. If there is a problem, then let's call for discussion. As what President has said, that his hand is open for everyone who think we can do something for our nation. But why are we insulting our president? Why are we insulting our nations? I've got nothing, my brother. I've got no any other country than Tanzania. And last, my brother John should put it very clear. I was an awarded journalist with 2 awards and overall winner, the best journalist of the year in Tanzania. And I've been awarded this with a credible institution and organization, including the human rights and the activist organization when I was a journalist. And I was not only a journalist, I was an investigative journalist with a remarkable history in my country. And then later on, I became a district commissioner, a presidential appointee. So don't look at our personalities. If we are here to talk about our personalities, we can take half of these programs telling people who we are, and come on, let's look on the possible alternative that brings people together under the Ubuntu and the Utu perception.
Jerry, thank you so much indeed. John, your final thoughts and final word.
Well, Jerry, I said I actually made it very clear that I respected you back in the days. I don't respect you now, period. Secondly, we do not really recognize Samia as a democratically elected president of the United Republic of Tanzania. Consequently, we do not therefore recognize a commission of inquiry that she has appointed. Having said that, we are calling for an international, credible and competent team of investigation into the killings that were deliberately carried out by Samia's repressive regime. So I appeal to the international community, to the international media organizations, to raise their voices louder enough for the world to hear that massacres where massacres of genocidal scale were carried out in Tanzania, and then an independent investigation into such massacres need to be carried out. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you all for your time, your thoughts, and discussing this challenging time for Tanzania. And we hope that a peaceful, just resolution is found so that Tanzania can once again shine brightly as one of the stars of the continent. I know it's a difficult time, and difficult things, decisions and choices have to be made to go forward. But to all of you, thank you so much indeed for sharing that story with us today. Evans Ogada, Chairperson of the East Africa Law Society, Rule of Law Committee. Jerry Muro, member of the national ruling party, Chama Mapinduzi, and also a independent political analyst at this time. And John Kitoka, Director of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs at the opposition Chadema party. Gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's how we come to the end of today's edition of Channel Africa Conversations. I certainly hope that you enjoyed this conversation. And just a reminder, we'd love to get your feedback on this show and also other programs. You're seeing on your screen now our social media pages, our email address, where you can get hold of us and share your thoughts on what you see and also what you'd like to see, the kind of conversations you want us to have, and what those conversations you want them to be about. We look forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, from me and the team, until the next time, goodbye.